about it with our friend, host of Right Now with Stephen Kent on Al Jazeera's Rightly Network, Stephen Kent, who's back up late with me on the Final Five. Stephen, good to see you tonight.
Jim, you as well.
I tweeted about this earlier today during the 5 o'clock news, and your response was, whatever they do can, should, and will be taken to court and torn asunder. That's some harsh words, but why do you believe this should be a no-go?
Well, it's an incredibly extra-legal type of policy. I think that people should take a moment to consider just how radical and unprecedented, with the exception of the past year with the pandemic beginning, for an unelected bureaucrat at a federal agency to unilaterally issue a dictate that essentially seizes people's properties and forces them to quarter people within them. It is a policy that could be pursued by actual law in Congress by the people who would like to see evictions paused for the duration of the pandemic. But that is not the route that they have gone. They have gone the route of executive action and federal agency overreach. And I think it's incredibly disturbing.
There hasn't been a Supreme Court ruling, but it was indicated by a 5-4 majority that had they reached a point here, had they gotten to the point where there was to be an extension, Brett Kavanaugh had said, if Congress considered it, maybe. But again, as you mentioned, it's the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, that has the power here, which I think, regardless of where you stand politically, it seems a little strange that they have this power too.
The Centers for Disease Control, and even just to say that they have the power here to make a decision in the realm of housing, should make you scratch your head and wonder in what other areas do they have power in the interest of public health, or whatever they put, air quotes, public health around. I mean, Jim, this is a complete Pandora's box, and I see people who want to do the right thing. The Democrats have repeatedly called this a moral imperative to make sure that people are not out on the streets during a pandemic. But we are also in the situation where we're acknowledging that this is going to go on for quite some time. The pandemic is going to slow grind for at least the next year. We're not going to see an official end to the coronavirus. So are we going to see an end to the pandemic and a policy where people who rent out their properties are not obliged to be receiving rent in accordance with the rental contracts that they sign with their tenants? It's an incredibly outlandish idea. And we should not mistake that the people who are calling for this policy, the Squad, AOC, Cori Bush, like, they are pursuing this policy because their politics dictate that housing is a right, and they have been spending most of their life with Marxist theory that does not acknowledge the existence of property rights to begin with.
There is something to be said, because early on, when there were calls for this in the early stages of the pandemic, and I think one thing that people consider when you look at renting, when you look at renting a room, renting a home from somebody, I think we tend to believe that there are these big conglomerates that oversee all the rental properties in the country. But there are people, there are everyday homeowners. I once rented a home in Massachusetts where the couple who I rented the home from, they live right next door. They still had bills to pay. They still had concerns. And I get it. There are people in need in this country right now. I think you and I and everybody else can agree that there are some circumstances brought on by this pandemic that we can't get past. But as you mentioned, this is uncharted territory, and because Congress didn't act, I think we wouldn't be having this conversation if Congress didn't step in here, right?
No, I don't think that we would at all. And there are a number of things that result in people being without homes. The primary one is no income. And in this country, it has become incredibly hard to work and have a profitable business or line of work during the pandemic. And that is by no fault of people's own or businesses. But it is absolutely the case that when downtowns like Washington, D.C., which are like ghost towns still right now, are not bustling with people who are going into the offices because mask mandates are arbitrarily enforced by the city or reimposed, the entire city starts to suffer. People don't come in and work. They don't go out and get lunch and patron the restaurant that they would normally go to. And then they stop giving hours out to employees. Like, our COVID policies have tentacles that reach through all sorts of areas of public life. And what we need to do is reopen and reawaken the country and accept reasonable levels of risk and get vaccinated. And particularly in Northern Virginia and DC, vaccination rates are pretty darn good. We
Yeah.
are in the right direction. This is an incredibly far-reaching policy we need to think twice about.
I think just on the vaccine front, I think I talked about on Like It or Not last night, just about how much I hate this mask mandate in D.C. But I will say this, I think the mayor and I think a lot of other officials in this area deserve credit for at least making testing and vaccination as readily available as it is in other parts in the country. Stephen, I got to leave it at that. And by the way, next time you're on this very show, next time, and hopefully I would love to see you in person again, but you have a book coming out and it kind of ties in everything that's behind you. Give us a 10-second spiel what this book is about.
No, I appreciate it. My book is called How the Force Can Fix the World, Lessons on Life, Liberty, and Happiness from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. It's about using Star Wars and looking at the Star Wars story as a way to order your life, have a better politics, and also just be happier. One of the areas that the book really focuses on is grappling with fear, reasonable risk, and learning to live more boldly and not make the kinds of mistakes that we've made in this country based out of fear and paranoia.
I would make you cringe if I just ended this with live long and prosper, because I'd be crossing universes there. But
you'd be canceled.
I know I would be.
Canceled, Jim.
Stephen Kent, always good to see you. Thanks, my friend.